See guys, I'll teach you exactly what the ego is. So for example, the ego is not you. Although you have to understand that when you're doing anything in terms of the mirror work, you understand that this image has nothing blocking my image. Otherwise, that's my image right there. Although if you come in the middle over here, you see this right here. I mean, you see how you see that? You see that's ego. You see that's what the ego does. You get it? Because you can see one of my eyes is all the way up here and my other eye is down here. You get it? You can see how the reflection of the mirror does not look like me anymore. And that's what the ego does. You see, the ego is more likely to go and cause the ego is more causing an illusion and is more likely to cause an illusion like this because you can see the ego right now. You can see the ego there. Although when I jump here, you can see now it's a nice beautiful image of me. And that's no ego. That's a nice beautiful definition of what ego is and what not, in terms of what is not ego. So this image is not ego because nothing is blocking my vision and I can see who I am. Although when you come over here, now this is blocking my image. As you can see it. Now that is an illusion. And that's what the ego is. And the ego is fear. Understand? And that's fear. And that's an illusion. Although when you jump to the side here and you look at yourself, really, you are not ego. Understand? So this is where you must be in life. You must never be over here. You must never be right here. You must never be living here. Because if you live here, if you live here, you live a lie. You'll never even know who you are. Understand? Because that is ego. Although this over here is you.
You see, guys, what happens is when you judge people's words, you also be judged by yourself and others. And now you have to understand that if you never judge other people, I promise you other people never judge you and your success and what you have. Although if you judge people for what they have and for what they say to you and for how they look, you also never be those people and you never have their success in life. So understand that if you judge somebody for something, you also be judged by yourself the most. Because if you judge me for how I am, you never ever be at my level of success. So understand that you have no judgment in life. Because if Jesus says to your wife or husband and says, you need to have sex with me behind your husband's back and behind your wife's back, and then you go and judge that and say, Jesus made a mistake here, and you will never ever again see Jesus. Although you must always see Jesus. Although understand this, that Jesus said that, and you went and shown everybody this message behind Jesus' back and gossip about Jesus for saying this words. You have to understand that you're egotistical about that and that you find him negative because he said this. Understand? So it's not really Jesus that's negative because Jesus is testing you in this statement to have sex with your wife or husband. Understand? Although Jesus never did it. Although Jesus can say anything under the blue stars to exactly see your mindset and how you are. And if Jesus says something that's really arrogating toward you, you're going to get arrogated and then you're going to delete Jesus from Facebook and social media and you're never going to talk to Jesus again because Jesus wrote a sentence. And then you go to everybody and promote and say, look what he said to me. You understand? And then you're going to go to your husband or your wife and you're going to say, this man is trying to get me. You understand? Otherwise it's just a sentence. Otherwise if Jesus is really trying to get you, otherwise Jesus would have already gotten you. You understand? Because Jesus doesn't have to walk your way in life. Otherwise Jesus will never walk your way. Understand? So the whole point is understand that you never judge words because then you act like a victim to the words. And then you go to the police and say, this man is harassing me. And this woman is harassing me. You understand? Because nobody harasses me. Although understand that no matter what, I never even harass myself. Although understand you never judge words because then you're going to act like a victim for some kind of little sentence that somebody writes. Or that somebody wrote. Or that somebody writes. You understand? Because I may say something very rude. I may say something very rude. In a way, I'm not ego. You see my ego there? I have no ego. You understand that I may say something really rude overall to everybody. Although if you judge me upon it, and you said the fuck word, and that's why you don't respect me anymore. I realize if you don't respect me anymore, I realize that means you hate me now. And that means you hate yourself. You understand? I realize that I can swear, I can do anything. Although if you judge my one word that I said from a billion words, and you said that you said the fuck word to me, I mean, you look offended. I mean, you look like somebody who's a victim now. You look like you're blaming me and making excuses for how I talk. Whereas now, those people are trying to control you. And realize that if people are judging your words and what you say, I realize it's because they're trying to control you. I realize it's because they're hypercritical, and it's because they're egotistical. And they get stuck on those words that you said to them. And they never forgive you. I realize they never forgive you. Why? Because they're not doing better than yesterday. Or else they're not reading, or else they're not growing, and they get stuck on the words, and then they delete you from their life, and then you never have to talk to them again. You forgive them already, although you move on, because you find out, even though you may have a 10-year friendship with somebody, and you say one sentence to them, or else they delete you forever. Or else I don't need those people in my life anymore, because a 10-year friendship is supposed to outlast everything. And it's never supposed to, although it must outlast everything. I realize that if you're growing, you will always outlast everything that other people throw at you. You understand? So the whole point of this is understand that you never judge words, because that way you'll never be condemned by yourself. You'll understand that those who understand peace and freedom are the ones who never judge you about how you are. Because if I say something and you get offended by it, or else I have power over you, or else that it means you're a victim then. So never be a victim, guys, and understand that freedom is found in no judgment. You guys must understand that when you're watching pornography, for example, you have to understand that you may be offended that another guy or a woman has sex with other people, or that other people are having sex more so with other people than you. And you have to understand that's called the ego. And now, if you have to go on pornography and watch pornography images, and you get offended by another guy having sex with a beautiful woman, or if you get offended by a woman having sex with a beautiful guy, and if you're just very hurt about that, you have to understand it's not you that's hurt. You have to understand it's really that the ego that you have is hurt. And you have to understand the ego makes you offended. And the ego is always offended about everything. Or to understand that it's not you who is offended or jealous. And you should understand it's really your ego. So what do you do in that situation to overcome the ego when other people may be having sex with other people? You have to understand that your image is more enough to overcome all those images that you see from pornography. You understand? Although understand that the more pornography images you do watch, whereas the more you're going to overcome the ego, and you're going to understand that images alone cannot hurt you. You understand? So what is hurting you today is your ego, because your ego believes that an image can hurt you. So if you go and watch pornography and you just watch the thumbnails, you'll understand that your ego may be offended about that. So understand that it's not you who is offended, because understand that images alone cannot hurt you. You understand? I promise you, images cannot hurt you. So what you do is you watch more images in life. And the more images you watch, the better for you, and it means you're going to overcome the ego eventually. And you just have to keep watching more images of pornography and also any type of images. You understand? Although do not masturbate and do not watch in terms of do not pleasurize yourself. You understand? Because pleasure alone kills you. And pleasure alone is ego. So make sure that you're always delaying gratification. Although images alone do not, or else images alone does not hurt you. So understand that anytime you get offended by an image of pornography where other two individuals may be having sex, and you get offended about that, or else there's nothing to be offended about, because understand it's just an image and it's not going to hurt you.
I test. I welcome you guys all here today. I realise that I'm here to speak about Jesus too. I realise that no matter what, I'm here in support of all of you, because I understand who Jesus is as well. I realise it's you. I realise it's you. I realise it's everybody here. Because Jesus teaches I love you. I is everything. I says right now. You have to understand that Jesus says don't cut your eye out. And Jesus means that. You have to understand what I is. I love you. I love you today because guess what? you have to understand that humans are never supposed to touch each other. You understand why? Because you're not supposed to kill anybody. You have to understand the only way that somebody will die is if I come there and touch you right now. Otherwise, if I walk away from you, I'll never kill you. And that's what Jesus is. I will also understand that Jesus did wash feet and wash the feet of the disciples. I will say that he didn't kill the disciples. Otherwise, he touched the disciples by the feet and he washed their feet. Although he didn't kill them and he didn't hurt them. You understand? Although the best aspect of Jesus is to run away from everybody else and to go toward you. Although Jesus teaches you to be the best aspect of your life right now. And those who are the best aspect of their life are the ones who are following Jesus' lifestyle right now. You have to understand, if you need to be important today, you need to also public speak just like Jesus. You have to understand that today, we are bound together through silence, which means we don't have to touch each other. You have to understand that Jesus never had sex. You understand? I mean, Jesus has sex in eternal life without touching you. Or else that's real sex. Or else if you're having sex with other people, you have to understand that's called violence. You understand? Because Jesus never had sex with other people. You have to understand.
Oh Dios Todopoderoso, Señor, te entrego mi vida en este momento, limpia mi corazón, te acepto como mi Salvador, perdóname por mi...
You guys can see that I'm about to give a public speaking area over here where I can go and talk. And I have my area set up over here where I can just go and speak about something about life. And there's people who are Tongan Samoans and Fijian Islander over here, and Torres Strait Islander, who are just promoting Jesus' work over here. So I'm just doing some work over here, and I'm promoting my business cards on the floor. I'm just doing my work over here. You can see that. So I'm just doing my work, and I'm relaxing over here. So I understand that these people over here are $2 over here. Found $2 that somebody gave me, so I realize that now and just go do my speech.
See, the key difference, guys, is that when you're taking photos of yourself and doing it over and over again, and you go on Instagram and post 1 million photos, you understand that no matter what, that those people who have not even posted one photo of themselves are going to be inspired by you. And let alone those people who posted 1,000 photos, although you have 1 million photos. You understand? And now, those people who don't even start taking photos of themselves will always be inspired by you because you have 1 million photos of yourself. Although those people who start to take photos of themselves and they see you and they continue, I promise you they're inspired by you because they understand what they can do too. You have to understand that you never promote other companies in life. You promote your company. Your company is your face. So make sure that every single day you do the best you can to have the best kind of face in life.
You see, guys, the ultimate way to understand silence is to be in the moment. And then when you're understanding silence, you have to understand that notes between the silence is the tones. And the silence of the tones is in between the gaps. So when you're learning something, you're going to listen to my communication in between the silence only. And you're not listening to my tones because my tones don't teach. Although it's really that the silence in between my tones do teach. So that's how you can always read. And that's the only best way to read. Because you have to understand that no matter what you're doing today, you have to understand to read something. You have to understand to be something open. You have to understand to be something much greater. So when you're listening to silence daily, you're going to be that much more fulfilled. To understand peace and quiet is your only option. You see, guys, when you're important in life, you're going to understand that what the main idea is every single day is to make sure that you have yourself an Apple Watch. So what an Apple Watch is, you'll have to understand is a watch that is going to help you to determine the time. And now when you have a time, such as an Apple Watch, you understand that no matter what, that you can go in place for every single minute of every single day to make sure that you can alarm yourself to tap it and to switch it off. Because guess what? I have an Apple Watch and I make sure to alarm myself every single minute. My alarm in my Apple Watch goes off. And why is that? Because I realize that peak performer who understands life is going to always be awake no matter what. So what an Apple Watch does is help you to be alarmed every single, it helps you to be alarmed every single minute. So every single minute of every single day, this alarm watch goes off and it buzzes me to be into the moment and to be living in the moment.
So then what I have to do is I just have to tap it. You understand? So it's a way to overcome your ego. So every single day, of every single hour, of every single minute, I realize that every single minute of 1 minute, I realize every single 1 minute of life, my Apple Watch goes off. And even while I sleep, I have to always touch it while I sleep. So I can sleep as long as I need to sleep, although I just have to make sure that I touch it and touch it and touch it. In a sense, so that I can switch it off. Because that way, I understand that when I switch it off, totally, I can go to sleep for another minute. And then it's going to buzz again throughout my sleep. So that's how I sleep, guys. I sleep in the night and in the daytime, and I don't even sleep. I just sleep consciously. I'm consciously awake all the time. So what the Apple Watch enables me to do is it helps me to live, I realize it helps me to live life 21 years more. You understand? Because if I was to go sleep for 8 hours a day now, every single day for the next 72 years, I realize that's 21 years of life, sleeping. So what I do is, to enable myself to live 21 years longer in life and not sleep unconsciously, I put the Apple Watch to be able to wake me up. You understand? So that way, when the Apple Watch wakes me up, I'm never sleeping. I'm never asleep. So what this enables me to do is be in the present moment, because every single 1 minute, I realize that my Apple Watch is going to ring. And that way, I'm always consciously aware of Jesus. I'm always consciously aware of what's going on. You understand? Because that's the only way of life.
You see, guys, the only difference in life is to make sure you're expanding every single day and doing a street performance every single day. Because if you're not doing a street performance every day, I mean, what are you doing? You have to understand, it's really get in front of people and start to public speak every single day and do something about it. I mean, do something about the world today. I mean, go and make a difference every single day and do it in front of people is all I'm saying. Because that way you're going to be promoting yourself for free, and it's much better than promoting yourself on Instagram and on YouTube. Because you're not online, you're just in front of people. And that way you understand that when you're in front of people, you can also become very famous in front of people, because that's the only way to do it. So understand that online is not the only way, although in front of people is the better way. You have to understand it's much better to go in front of people and expand and also become a leader than just doing it online on your own. So realize no matter what, that people are in it together when you go in front of people to lead people.